So the 2026 Monster Energy Big 12 Football Media Days features Oklahoma State head coach Eric Morris.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys being here. Such a unique time for me in being in my first year, but such an amazing past 7 or 8 months for me. It's been a whirlwind, obviously. There's a ton of storylines going into this season for our ball club. But first and foremost, I just want to talk a little bit about the leadership at Oklahoma State. Just super blessed, thankful for our president, Jim Hess, and our athletic director, Chad Weiberg, with entrusting me in the job that they have given me, right? And to be able to take over a program that's had a history of a ton of success the last 20 years. Super excited for. Stillwater was a big draw for me and my family to come into Stillwater. I think I have a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old right now, and I'm from a small town in West Texas, and that's how I wanted to raise my family. And so Stillwater's been nothing short of amazing, super genuine people, hardworking, blue-collar organization. And so the guys that I brought with me today, obviously there's a couple headliners that everybody knows their story by now, and Drew Messamaker, our quarterback, Caleb Hawkins, our running back, Ethan Westlowski, linebacker, and Jalil Johnson, defensive lineman. So super excited for you guys to hear from them later, but excited to be here, looking forward to this season. And with that, we'll take any questions.
Coach Morris, you're inheriting a program where any success will be an improvement. You faced that in your first year at Incarnate Word. Did you learn from that at Incarnate Word? And how important is it for your program not to be satisfied by any early success?
Yeah, this was a super unique one for me, and obviously when I went to Incarnate Word, a place with no history, they had no success at all. They'd only been Division I a couple years, and so I think I could come in there really guns a-blazing and be able to bring my personality into that place, kind of reset the culture, starting in the weight room, building in the off-season, and then ultimately we were able to have some success that first year. North Texas was a little bit different when I got there, just because they played in a bowl game the year that I got there, had a 6-win team, and so it's a team that had a little bit of success. And then this one was so different for me just because, I've been in the Big 12 as a player and a coach, and Oklahoma State was so good in my memories. I remember going to Boone Pickens, how rowdy it was, the paddles, slapping against the wall, the student section on fire. And so, my memories were always good, and obviously during those times there were, a bunch of 8-win teams, 9-win teams, 10-win teams, won the Big 12 in 2012. So I didn't have any of these bad memories. Now when I got there, I had to sit back and realize that there have been kids that are in this program that have been there for 2 years that hadn't experienced walking in that locker room after winning a conference game. And so that was something really unique for me, because my memories were great, and then I had to realize a bunch of our players' memories haven't been great in the recent past. And so obviously me bringing a lot of my staff with me was huge. We have 42 new guys in our operations staff-wise. 35 of those came with me, so they knew what I expected. They knew the standard. They knew the expectations. They knew the X's and O's. All of our position coaches came, so I wasn't worried about that as much as formulating and getting these guys to believe in themselves in the locker room. And so we spent a ton of time breathing confidence in these guys. I think the weight program is a great way to build culture as well. So bringing my strength staff has been good for me as far as all the off-season training that we're doing in the summer and the spring. And so, yeah, obviously, ton of success, but we needed a hard reset, I felt like. And it's also helped that we were able to bring 19 guys with us from North Texas that really understood how we operate on a day-to-day, understand the standard, how we operate. And so I think bringing the people that were familiar with me and the way I run the program has been really beneficial for us.
You was just expand on what you were just talking about, coming into a program. The Oklahoma State Cowboys have went winless in Big 12 play over the past 2 seasons. Do you feel that there's more added pressure with that, and there's a sense of urgency to get the Cowboys back on the winning track? And the second part question I got for you is, you coached at North Texas, Denton, that's just like, less than 20, 30 miles from here. Does it feel like it was just been an easy transition doing this, the Big 12 Media Days, since you coached last season, not too far from here anyway?
Yeah, there's definitely urgency for me right now just because I love winning and I love competing. And so as soon as there's not urgency for me to put out a good product, like I'm going to find something else to do with my time. And so that's what I love so much. I think, I think in a world of college football right now where everything seems that it's become so transactional, like living it day to day, like I see the transformational side of it, right? And I'm able to see, I've never really been at a place with resources, when you look at, Incarnate Word where I started, a bunch of people told me that was career suicide when I took that job. And that gave me motivation every day to prove people wrong. And that's the way I've been wired my whole life. Same thing, at North Texas wasn't a place with a ton of resources. And so I'm not worried about, I get to live and breathe it every single day, and I see this game change people's lives, right? And I get to see Drew Messamaker and Caleb Hawkins walk into a new situation that they never dreamt about a couple years ago and watch them have success. The one thing that's been frustrating for me the last couple years at North Texas and I think at the G6 level is just the resources to be able to retain talent year in, year out, right? And that was something I think didn't sit with me well early on. I think it was something that aggravated me. But at the end of the day, we're in this business to help kids achieve their dreams and their goals, right? And so as I got over myself and my personal feelings, we were able to get kids into better spots for themselves, and whether that's a better spot, on the field, whether it's a better spot financially for them and their family, super happy for the people's lives I've been able to affect by coaching this game and building these relationships. And so, yeah, just when you take a step back from it, I think, especially with technology and social media right now, we see so much about NIL and the rosters and the money. At the end of the day, these kids are still kids, and I get to see them in working through problems and working through hard things and having small accomplishments and finally getting an A on an exam that I've been on their butt about because they're not doing well. Those moments are the moments that I still love coaching for, and they're still there every day in my life.
The offense this summer has been getting a lot of attention, obviously, because of you and Messamaker and Hawkins and all of the North Texas talent you brought in there. But on the defensive side, can you just discuss with us what you've done over there and what the expectation for the defense is this year?
Yeah, it's been really fun to watch this defense come together, and I'll be the first guy to tell you, I know I'm an offensive guy and I still call the plays and have been known for putting up numbers or quarterbacks or whatnot. The two biggest reasons for our success last year was, number one, Skylar Cassidy, our defensive coordinator, came in and they had new expectation, and we played great defense last year, and it won us some football games. And the other one is our special teams coach, Drew Sabota, has done a phenomenal job where we've actually been able to change games in the kicking game. And so for me right now, especially as a head coach, I've had to learn this over the course of time, how important playing good defense is. And, I think really when I think about it, our defensive end, the position as a whole, we have one of them here today, Jalil Johnson, who I think is an all-conference caliber player. I think, has the size, the talent to play on Sundays. I think really excited to watch the defensive end position. Our linebackers in Ethan Westlowski and Tate Romney. We have a nickel in Christian Bodner, who had a phenomenal spring. Quentin Hammonds is a safety we're bringing over from North Texas that had an incredible year last year. Has only played defense 2 years now. LaDainian Fields, a cornerback, who played the last half of the season and had one of the highest PFF ratings. So a bunch of talent and a bunch of people that have played a lot of snaps. Although those snaps might not have been at Oklahoma State, I think returning snaps this year in college football, we're number 3 in the whole entire nation. And that was something we did intentionally in the portal. And so really hoping that experience pays off for us in year one.
You talked about bringing 19 players from North Texas with you to Oklahoma State. I want to touch on that point a little bit. with so much roster turnover, even though you have players from your previous school, what gives you confidence, or where does that stem from that y'all can compete in the Big 12 right away?
Yeah, I'm a little bit old school, and like the way I like to build my teams is we intentionally spend time together, and there's nothing flashy with it. It might be mandatory breakfast together, sitting at a different table with a different coach. It might be, splitting up, playing different activities, wiffle ball, going bowling, coming over to my house to swim, just different activities where we spend intentional time together. And I think that's one thing that's lost, not only today, in just athletics, but just in college students in general. I think with technology, so many people are addicted to their phones, to video games, and I think since COVID, people just don't have the same college experience they used to have. And I think what's really cool about Stillwater is it's such a small, tight-knit community that our kids actually go out and do a lot of activities together, whether it's golfing or fishing or out, at the gun range, shooting ski. There's so many unique things to do together. So for me, like, if you came in our locker room right now and you just paid attention to the way the guys interact with one another, you would think these guys have been around each other for years and years, and not just the North Texas guys, but everybody together, right? And from our very first team meeting, all the North Texas guys were sitting in the front right, and the first thing I did when I addressed the team is I made everybody stand up, move, and go sit by somebody they didn't know so we could immediately start forming new relationships, because it's not about us and them. I mean, this is all about Oklahoma State, versus a really good conference in the Big 12.
How do you plan to execute your next vision for this program, and what kind of impact do you plan to leave on this program moving forward?
Yeah, well, what I'm going to do next right now is our coaches are finally on vacation. It's been a long 7 months for them trying to get everything up and running there in Stillwater. And I think it's still very important that there's a separation before we get everything started with our coaches and our players. I think, it's almost become year-round in the football calendar. We have more access than we've ever had in the past as far as being able to do actual football-related activities. So we do all that through the spring and then June, and I think it's really important that they spend time with just the strength coach in the month of July. And so we're in the middle of that right now. I'm just coming off of vacation. I'm going to go immediately back on vacation for about another week, a week and a half. And then hopefully our coaches get back, get rejuvenated, organize all of our stuff going into fall camp. And then I want to see, I always remember as a player, and then, 7 or 8 years ago, how excited everybody was when you get back in the team meeting for the first time before training camp. And I want our players to have that excitement about football still. And so yeah, we're in a little break right now, and then obviously it's going to become really fast once we get into training camp. Really unique training camp for us this year. We only have 8 days of training camp because we start school a little bit early. And so it'll be the shortest training camp I've ever been a part of, but super confident in the fact that we've been able to practice so much through the spring and through the month of June. So super excited. And then obviously, my predecessor had an amazing career in Mike Gundy. I mean, all the respect in the world to how much success that he had there. I mean, being somewhere 21 years, and then obviously he was such a great player there. And so obviously, as a competitor, you're always chasing that, and the bar is set pretty high.
Coach, thank you for your time today, and good luck this season.
Thank y'all. Go Pokes.